Just Cheesy the Podcast, presented by Just Cheesy Productions.
Hi there, I'm your host Fondue.
And I'm Cheesy.
In this week's episode, we celebrate National String Cheese Day.
Ooh.
We also learned that cheese records are made to be broken.
They are?
We're talking about a giant ball of cheese.
Ooh.
We're talking about the highest cheese pull.
Whoa.
We're talking about the longest cheesesteak and the longest charcuterie.
Nice.
We're talking about the most expensive cheese, and we're talking about the fastest eating.
Whoa.
And of course, no episode would be complete without our very cheesy joke.
Love a joke.
Stay tuned for episode 97, Broken Record on Just Cheesy the Podcast. According to nationaltoday.com, September 20th is National String Cheese Day.
Ooh.
And if you want to learn a lot about string cheese, check out our episode in Season 2, Episode 20, about string cheese.
Oh, yeah.
But I want to get right into this week's episode with my favorite segment.
This week in cheese.
This first world record came to us from Stephen C., a fellow user on X, the social media app formerly known as Twitter. According to Mexico News Daily, over 80 workers from 10 cheese producers came together in Chiapas in order to break the world record for the largest ball of quesillo, otherwise known as Oaxaca cheese or string cheese.
Wow.
According to the article, the finished product weighed over 558 kilograms, which is 1,230 pounds.
Holy cow.
It took 6,000 liters or 1,585 gallons of milk, and it took over 4 hours to complete.
Wow.
The making of the cheese was supervised by the Guinness Book of World Records.
Of course.
And there was a stipulation that the crew would have to maintain hygienic conditions.
Sure.
The cheese would have to be, and I quote, at least somewhat ball-shaped, and they had to finish in no more than 8 hours.
Wow.
They nearly doubled the previous world record.
Whoa.
And if you remember back in Season 2, Episode 13, the Big O episode, we talked all about Oaxaca cheese.
Yeah, we did.
This cheese is a semi-hard, white, low-fat cheese. This cheese is named after the state of Oaxaca in southern Mexico.
Wow.
And according to darkcheese.com, a lot of people may confuse it with mozzarella.
Really?
Oaxaca is made with cow's milk. Mozzarella is Italian and it's made from either cow's milk or buffalo milk.
Oh.
The Oaxaca cheese has a chewy, stretched texture, and they typically stretch what looks like white string cheese in a ball shape.
Wow.
They say it's a little bit mellower,
Ooh.
it's a little bit more buttery,
Ooh.
it's saltier, and they say it melts easily, slowly, and forms long strings when heated, which makes it ideal for quesadillas or melted cheese sandwiches.
Yummy.
Can you believe that this is not the only record broken in the last month?
No way.
According to the NewYorkPost.com, Doritos has taken on a TikTok viral cheese pulling challenge
Wow.
using a helicopter.
What?
Yeah, a helicopter.
Wow.
They decided to celebrate National Guacamole Day. That's on the 16th of September.
Of course.
So in order to celebrate the holiday, they filmed at the Cheddar Gorge in Somerset, UK.
Ooh.
The stunt took a whole month of planning
Whoa.
from cheese scientists, food experts, and a social media star named Sam Thompson.
Wow.
They blended 265 pounds of cheddar and mozzarella.
Holy cow.
They poured it into a pot,
Wow.
nestled into a replica mound of nacho chips.
Sure.
And this measured 16 by 14 feet.
Holy cow.
They heated it up. They had a helicopter fly in and lower a 4-foot wide nacho into the cheese.
Whoa.
And then they took that helicopter up and it went over 49 feet.
Holy cow.
Quoting the article, with their giant dip, the team shattered the record for the highest cheese pull as determined by the World Talent Organization,
The what?
which certifies incredible human feats.
Whoa.
And with that, Doritos released their brand new crisps called Doritos Dippers.
Aw.
Doritos is not a sponsor,
Not yet.
but if you'd like to be, your ad can go right here. Have you ever wanted to listen to the web?
Yeah.
Well, Newsly makes that possible.
They do?
They're an all-in-one audio super app for iOS and Android.
Super app.
You can listen to trending articles on the web on topics that you choose and get them read to you in a natural human voice.
What kind of topics?
Sports,
Cheese?
tech, business, science.
Cheese?
I'm sure there's even cheese.
Yay!
They even have an entire section for podcasts.
Are we there?
Of course we are.
Ooh.
It's one of my new favorite podcast apps. They even have digital radio.
Holy cow. cow.
Just go to www.newsly.me to download it free.
Whoa.
Or use the link in the description. If you use the promo code CHEESY, that'll get you 1 month free premium subscription.
Yay, Newsly.
Now, back to the podcast. Believe it or not, the new Philly cheesesteak Guinness World Record holder is from Lewiston, Idaho.
Idaho.
That's right. According to the Lewiston Tribune, the staff at the Main Street Grill constructed a Philly cheesesteak that measured 722 feet and 8 inches.
Holy cow.
Now, looking at it, it looks like a lot of sandwiches put together,
Yeah.
but it's still impressive nonetheless.
It is.
The spectators bought tickets for $10 apiece
Ooh.
for 6 inches of the record sandwich.
Yum.
And those proceeds will benefit the Boys and Girls Clubs of the Lewis-Clark Valley.
Wow.
We've had a string cheese ball,
Yep.
the longest pool,
Yeah.
the biggest cheesesteak.
Yep.
Well, why not the longest charcuterie board?
Why not?
According to bc.ctvnews.ca, a British Columbia caterer broke the record for the longest charcuterie board.
Whoa.
Wes Levesque of Sheila's Catering is now the record holder for longest charcuterie platter or board.
Ooh.
The previous record was 204 feet.
Whoa.
This was more than doubled at 485 feet of charcuterie.
Holy cow.
They assembled 250 individual boards put together in a long line.
Wow.
They had a refrigerated trailer keeping the food cold.
Yeah.
And they had a professional falconer who was hired to keep seagulls away from the feast.
Whoa.
Tickets started at $89,
Whoa.
and they went as high as $189 for a VIP experience.
Extra whoa.
Those ticket prices were donated to Sources Food Banks,
Oh.
Friends of the Pier,
Yeah.
and the Semiahmoo Rotary Club.
Nice.
And if you think that's impressive, what about the most expensive cheese?
Whoa.
And typically when we're talking about the world's most expensive cheese, we're talking about Pule cheese.
Yeah.
This is a Serbian cheese. It's one of the most rare and expensive cheeses in the world. It's made with the milk of an endangered Balkan donkey.
Whoa.
It typically goes for about $600 a pound.
Holy cow.
And it's very expensive because it's extremely rare.
Oh.
There is only one farm in the whole world that produces this cheese.
Whoa.
There are very few donkeys on the farm that get milked, and they produce a very low volume.
Whoa.
In fact, they only produce up to 1 gallon of milk per day for a period of 6 months only.
Whoa.
And when you compare this against cows who can produce about 6 to 7 gallons of milk per day over 10 months,
Whoa.
that difference is very dramatic.
Yeah, it is.
And apparently it takes a donkey's udder quite a long time to refill, and it needs to empty completely for them to produce more milk.
Okay.
The milk production happens at Zasavica
Oh, boy.
Donkey Reserve, and it's the largest donkey farm in Eastern Europe.
Whoa.
The money from the cheese helps with their conservation work.
Oh, that's nice.
They have about 120 donkeys,
Ooh.
and their milk produces an assortment of goods such as cheese, facial creams, and soaps.
Nice.
But we're talking about a world record cheese.
Yeah.
According to NDTV.com, a 2.2 kilogram or 4.85 pound wheel of Cabrales blue cheese was auctioned at a festival held in Principality of Asturias.
Okay.
Guillermo Pendejas manufactured the world record-breaking cheese at his family's factory in Los Puertos.
Ooh.
His mother owns the factory, and she stated that the cheese had been matured in a cave at an altitude of 1,400 meters
Whoa.
at a temperature of 7 degrees Celsius, and it spent a minimum of 8 months there.
Wow.
It's described as a semi-hard, very strong-tasting blue cheese.
How much?
It's typically made from raw cow milk, and it can be mixed with goat or sheep.
How much?
And this cheese sold at a festival for over $32,000.
Holy cow, why?
Well, apparently every year they have this annual cheese competition and they auction off a cheese.
Ah, okay.
So it typically goes for about $35 a pound,
Makes sense.
but that's still pretty expensive.
Yeah.
And then we have Leah Shukover.
Oh.
Leah is a European woman and she has won over 33 Guinness World Record titles.
Whoa.
She's also a professional eater.
Ooh.
According to food.ndtv.com, Leah smashed the world record
Really?
for eating mozzarella.
Ooh.
She ate 500 grams,
Okay.
which is a little over a pound of mozzarella,
Whoa.
in just 1 minute and 2.34 seconds.
Whoa.
The video shows her sitting in front of a table. She has 2 blocks of mozzarella.
Whoa.
They start a timer. She stuffs it in her mouth
Oh.
and gobbles down the first in just a few seconds.
Wow.
She pauses and then goes for the second. 1 minute and 2.34 seconds
Wow.
to eat a whole pound of mozzarella.
That's impressive.
What an incredible month for cheese-breaking records.
I'm ready for a joke, Fondue.
Why did the cheese want to break a world record?
I don't know.
It wanted to be legendary.
Oh.
Get it?
Yeah.
Legendary?
That was a good one.
Oh, this joke was legendary.
Yeah.
And a little bit cheesy. Thanks for listening to Just Cheesy the Podcast, episode 97, Broken Record.
Thank you.
If you have any suggestions for future episodes, please feel free to email us or contact us on any of our social media platforms.
Stay cheesy, everybody.